everyone, it's Motion Man here with E3 right around the corner. I thought I'd just take some time today to put together a little E3 predictions video, talk about what I think is going to happen at the show and how I think it's going to happen. What you're looking at now is just some gameplay footage from The Witcher. I just have some B-roll going there for you, just so you have something to look at while I'm rambling on here. I want to touch on all the conferences that are going to take place. So we have Bathesda, Xbox, Ubisoft, EA, and Sony. I'm going to go ahead and start with Xbox because they're the first one up on the schedule. With Xbox, I think the show will obviously open with them showcasing the Scorpio. I think they're going to announce the price, the release date, and show the design. If I had to guess, I think it's going to cost $399 because I don't think that they can put it out at a lower price than the PS4 Pro. There was some numbers and some kind of weird stuff that was showing up in some of the teasers, and they had 10/13/2017, which I think leads me to believe anyway that it's going to be launching October 13th, 2017. I kind of hope they stick with the name Scorpio because I think that kind of is kind of known to people now with the announcement they did last E3, and like they can't really use like one S. I feel like if they use Elite like they've done that before, I think Scorpio is unique, and I kind of hope they stick with that, although I'm not sure if they will because they needed to kind of appeal to the masses. I think when they show Scorpio, they're going to announce that a lot of the pre-existing titles that they have out are going to get patches for Scorpio, like upgraded resolution and frame rate and stuff like that. I think they're going to showcase stuff like Halo 5, like Gears 4, Dead Rising 4, Forza Horizon 3, ReCore. I think they're going to announce that those games are going to be playable at 4K 60, native 4K 60, and I think that they're probably going to tie that into Game Pass, where either all of them or a handful of them are going to be coming to Game Pass in the near future, kind of pump up what they've been showcasing with Game Pass. I think after that, they'll probably bring out 343 Industries to show off the campaign DLC for Halo Wars 2. It's known that that's a part of the Season Pass, but they haven't talked about it since the game came out. I think that they're going to have a trailer for that and show that there, as well as announce that Halo Wars 2 will run at 4K 60 on the Scorpio. And they'll probably talk on or touch on the Steven Spielberg Halo TV show. I think that they will probably bring out someone from Rare to show some more Sea of Thieves, probably some sort of beta announcement trailer. I don't think the game's going to come out this year, but I think that they're going to have an open beta either right around E3 in the summer or sometime shortly after that. They have to kind of get that game in people's hands. I think that they're going to showcase some ID at Xbox stuff. I think they're going to show or have release dates for Below and Cuphead, and I think that with Cuphead, I think they will actually either have a playable demo that comes out like at E3. They'll announce it during the conference, or the game will just flat out be available during the conference. Like that will be a mic drop kind of moment for them, because that's a really highly anticipated game that has had a long development, to say the least. I think that they're going to touch on some game preview stuff, because that's a unique thing for Xbox. I think one of the big things that they're going to bring to game preview is PlayerUnknown Battleground. They already announced that game is coming to consoles. I think that the quickest way that developer can get some money from us is to put it in game preview, and Sony doesn't have a game preview like service, so I think that it makes sense for them to show up on Microsoft stage. They're one of the most popular games, if not the most popular game right now, multiplayer wise. So that will be kind of a big deal for Xbox to kind of get them to be on their stage. That kind of wraps up a lot of the filler stuff that they have to do. They have to talk about Scorpio, they have to talk about ID at Xbox, have to talk about game preview and Game Pass. And now we're getting into kind of the interesting stuff. So up until at this point, they have shown Scorpio. They have shown all of their older first-party games and how they will run on Scorpio, and kind of set the value proposition of Scorpio that way. But now I think they'll start talking about third-party developers, because that's what everybody's worried about. Like, we know the first-party studios are going to have like Scorpio support, but what's going to happen with the third-party games? I think that they'll announce that all the heavy hitters like Battlefront 2, Call of Duty World War II, Shadow of War, Darksiders 3, which we know about, are all going to be targeting 4K on Scorpio. I don't think they'll say 4K 60 because I think that that's going to be up to the developers, and I don't think every developer is going to hit 60 at 4K. But I think that they will say that those big titles that we're all hyped for are going to be 4K on Scorpio. And I don't think that that's going to be the case on PS4 Pro, so I think that'll be good for them there. I think they'll start showing, or I think they'll bring out Ubisoft actually and unveil Assassin's Creed Origins on the Xbox stage running on Scorpio at 4K. I think that will be a huge thing for them. I'll get into why I don't think that Ubisoft will reveal Assassin's Creed during their conference, because I know you're thinking that it would make sense for them to do that, but I have a reason behind that, which I'll get into when I talk about the Ubisoft conference. But I think they'll bring out Assassin's Creed Origins. I think that game is going to look insane, especially at 4K on Scorpio. Keep in mind that Microsoft is actually streaming E3 on Mixer at 4K. So if you have a 4K TV or monitor, you'll be able to watch the actual conference in 4K. So these 4K trailers of these games running on Scorpio are going to actually look 4K, and you'll be able to see it. Unlike the PS4 Pro reveal, where they were saying like, oh, HDR, like 1800p, 4K checkerboard, all this stuff, it's showcasing it, but everybody was watching a 720p, 1080p stream on Twitch. Like, they couldn't really see what they were seeing in the studio or in the conference. I think with Mixer being able to stream at 4K, everybody watching it on Mixer with a 4K TV, I think that these trailers and all this stuff is really going to pop when we're watching the conference. So yeah, I think Assassin's Creed Origins is going to debut on the Microsoft stage. I think that they're going to show a new Forza game. I think that one's pretty obvious, and it's going to look ridiculous. Racing games, there's not a whole lot going on, which means you can pump a lot of the power into the graphics, and I think it's just going to look basically like real life. I think that's going to be a really cool trailer. I think they're going to have a stage demo for State of Decay 2. I think they're going to really show how the co-op play works in that game, and because that was the major complaint of the first State of Decay, is that it didn't have that co-op mode. And I think that having a stage demo that shows the co-op mode and all the cool stuff that's involved with that would really resonate. I think they're going to, I don't know if they're actually going to show Crackdown 3 on stage like a demo. I think they're going to have a gameplay trailer. But I do think that they're going to announce both Crackdown 3 and State of Decay 2 as 2017 holiday titles. So I think we'll get release dates on those. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a multiplayer beta for Crackdown 3. I think they had a demo of it Crackdown 3 came with the Halo demo. That's what I'm thinking of. So they may do that, they may not. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I think that both of those games are going to be fall releases. That's kind of everything I've said so far is all stuff we know about, and it's all stuff that we're semi-expecting. So up until now, it's cool, but no one's really blown away, which is why I think that the Xbox conference is so interesting, because if they stopped the conference here, like, that would be a disaster. They didn't really announce anything special, and we all kind of knew about everything they said. So I think they have to have an ace up their sleeve, and that's why I'm so interested in this conference. So I think that they're going to unveil a new AAA IP. I have a couple of guesses as to what that might be, and I did make a list of them here, so I'll go through that now. First up, I think that it's possible that we might see a Fable 4. I know it's not a new IP, that's why I'm saying this one first, because it doesn't really fit with what I think is going to happen. But the reason why I'm saying Fable 4 is because it's been announced that Microsoft has a partnership with Studio Gobo, which is a studio based in the UK that previously worked on Disney Infinity. And in their press release, they said, and I quote, they're working on a AAA character action adventure game within a well-established and well-loved franchise. Like that. They have that does sound like Fable. It could be Fable. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but the fact that they're in the UK and Fable's known for its British humor, and a lot of the Lionhead staff kind of spread out amongst all the other UK developers, so there could be some ex-Lionhead employees working there. I'm not sure. I think that that's a possibility. Another possibility, which is one I'm a lot more interested in, is it could be a new Ninja Gaiden game for Team Ninja. Phil Spencer tweeted a while ago that he was in Japan, and he was in Japan for business. It wasn't like a personal vacation. So the only reason why he would be there is if he was negotiating some type of deal, or if he had something in place and he was checking up on the product. If Microsoft did sign a contract with a Japanese developer to make a game for Xbox, I think they would be on top of them to check the progress based on what happened with Scalebound. So I think the only reason why he would be in Japan would be to check up on their investment as far as whatever they have a studio making for them. Another possibility as far as Japanese developers could be a new IP or a sequel to Chrome Hounds from FromSoft. They did announce that they are working on 3 games. They said one is a new Soulsborne game, which they kind of teased already. And they said one is a return of an existing IP that everybody loves, which everyone thinks is Armored Core, but it could be Chrome Hounds. Like, we never know. So there's that there. I think this is a really big long shot, but it's possible. I think we could see Cyberpunk from CD Projekt Red. I don't think this would be an exclusive to Xbox, but they could have some kind of marketing deal or short-term exclusivity period where it's on PC and Xbox and it comes to PlayStation 4 later. The reason why I think this makes at least a little bit of sense is that they do have a partnership, or at least a previous kind of history working with Microsoft. I believe The Witcher 2 was exclusive to Xbox 360, and The Witcher 3 had the marketing rights on Xbox. Gwent is on Xbox only at the moment as far as the beta is concerned, and Microsoft really kind of shares with CD Projekt's Red kind of outlook on like the gamer first mentality. Like, they're really anti-DRM and like pro-consumer. Like, if you just open a package for The Witcher 3, all the stuff they include in that game is insane, and I think Microsoft more so than Sony really kind of fills that mandate up. So that's a possibility. BioWare has a new game that they're supposed to be unveiling. Again, I think that's similar to Cyberpunk. It's a long shot, and I don't think it would be exclusive, but it could debut on the Microsoft stage, which would be huge. What I personally think it's going to be, though, and what I hope it's going to be, is there's something completely new and out of nowhere, like some new IP that is either based on a random third-party developer that somehow kept a secret this long, or Microsoft maybe like had a sub-team in one of their existing studios, like 343 or the Coalition or Turn 10, etc., that was branched off and was working on a new title, kind of like how Naughty Dog and Guerrilla does it, where they have the majority of the team pumping out Uncharted 3, and then there's a few guys in the back corner somewhere working on the new game, The Last of Us. And then once Uncharted 3 came out, they went all hands on deck on The Last of Us, and then they were able to pump that game out. I think one of the biggest mistakes that Microsoft makes is they have these really talented, really amazing development teams that just pump out the same game over and over and over again. Mind you, the games that they pump out are awesome, but with all that talent in that one building, I think that they could use those developers to get a new IP and a new game, which is something that they really need. And finally, I know they said it's not going to be there multiple times. Multiple people said that, but I'm not going to believe them until the conference is over. I think the conference ends with some sort of teaser for Halo 6. I know they said it's not going to happen, but that is the ultimate mic drop moment. You just have Master Chief in a poncho again, I don't care. Some type of Halo 3 tease. That's perfect way to end the show. And I think that if all of those things happen, or any of those things happen, I think it would be a pretty good show for Microsoft there. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen for Microsoft. Sorry, I apologize for the cut there. I had to get a sip of water. That kind of went off a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. So anyways, up next we have Bathesda. They're going to be on super late at night, but they had a really awesome show last year, and they're back again for another show. I'm not quite sure about what they're going to do. One thing that they'll probably touch on to start, something small like Elder Scrolls Legends. That's, I believe, in beta right now, so they're probably going to show some new additions to that game. They just launched the Morrowind expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, so I don't know if they're going to have anything to really talk about for that. I do think, though, based on the tease that we got, or the kind of Easter egg that we got in their last conference montage they had, I think we're going to see a new Wolfenstein game, the new Colossus, I think they called it, or that was what the Easter egg said. The original Wolfenstein was an incredible game. Like, it was the perfect game for me. It was a solid story, awesome graphics, really tight, really fun gameplay, and just like insane set pieces fighting Nazis. It was awesome. The developers really put a lot of effort into making a really solid single-player first-person shooter, which isn't that common anymore. A lot of first-person shooters, like, they focus on the multiplayer component, which kind of takes away a little bit from the single-player aspect for games, or sometimes there is no single-player at all. So having a really solid, awesome first-person shooter campaign is great in my book, and I would definitely get Wolfenstein 2 if it's made by Machine Games, the people that made the last one. I think we'll see a Evil Within 2 as well, or Psycho Break in Japan is what it's called. That game, it was really poor as far as the performance of the game. Like, it was very stuttery. When it launched, it actually only ran in with the black bars on the top and bottom because of performance issues. And once a few patches came in, it was fine, but it definitely was a little bit more ambitious than what the current hardware could handle at the time. But now that we have the Pro and the Scorpio, I don't think that's going to be an issue, because aside from that, the game was actually really good. It really reminded me of Resident Evil 4. The story was like completely fucked, but it was like fucked in a good way. It made no sense, but it was entertaining, and the game itself was really, really good. It was more action than horror in my opinion, but that's not too bad. There was a lot of creepy moments, and if Senji Mikami is working on it, the basically inventor of Resident Evil 4, it's gonna be a good game, and I'm hyped for that as well. As far as what they're gonna end the show on, I have no idea, because it's there's not going to be any more content for Fallout 4. There's not going to be a Fallout 5 for sure. They really don't announce a game or show a game that's not coming out relatively soon. Like, they announced Fallout 4 in June and it came out in November. So I don't anticipate some kind of Elder Scrolls announcement, like a mainline Elder Scrolls announcement, because they openly said that they're not working on it, and there's multiple titles that are going to be coming out before the Elder Scrolls does, after Fallout 4 had come out. So that only leaves me with one thing, and that's a new IP. I mean, like I said, Dishonored had its sequel come out. They don't really have a lot. Prey already came out, which was announced, so it has to be some sort of new IP, and I don't think that they would announce a new IP and then not have it come out like this fall, or like within a short period of the announcement, like let's say within a 1-year period of the announcement. So I'm not really sure what to expect from them. I know for sure the first games I mentioned, Elder Scrolls Legends, Wolfenstein 2, Evil Within 2, like those are probably going to be there, but I don't think that those 3 games alone would justify a conference, and they are having a conference, so there has to be something that I don't know about or that we don't know about. And Bethesda, of all the companies, is the best at keeping a secret, so we'll have to wait and see what they show, but there has to be more than what I mentioned. There has to be some sort of big game announcement that they're gonna drop on us. But so that's what I think is gonna happen with Bethesda. I think actually before those 2 conferences, I think I skipped EA, but EA I think is the first to go. I think they go on Saturday. EA's conferences are pretty meh in my opinion. I mean, there's gonna be your sports games are going to show that stuff. Madden has a campaign story mode this year, which I think is pretty cool, but I mean, in the video game internet world, like, that doesn't really matter. I think the half of the conference is going to be sports. The other half of the conference is going to be Star Wars stuff. Battlefront 2, I'm buying. Doesn't matter what they show me. Like, their game's going to be insane. The campaign's going to be insane. I hope they show a lot of the campaign stuff and not a lot of the multiplayer stuff, because the campaign is what I think needs to be shown. They didn't have one in the original Battlefront, and that's going to be a huge selling feature in Battlefront 2. I'm also super excited to see some of the EA Motive Star Wars game. It's supposed to be like a spiritual successor to the canceled Star Wars 1313. It's supposed to be a third-person action-adventure single-player Star Wars game. They showed a very quick tease of it, and it literally looked like Uncharted Star Wars, which is insane to me. I think though that they might see, I don't know, Titanfall and Battlefield already came out. Like, those are their 2 big shooter franchises, so I don't imagine anything like a Battlefield 5 or like Titanfall 3 being shown. They'll probably maybe show some sort of DLC for Battlefield 1 or something like that, but I think it's mostly going to be sports and Star Wars. After EA, we have Ubisoft. Ubisoft's conferences are like all over the place. I mean, they're going to show South Park. They're going to show probably some expansions to Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six is actually doing way better than anyone ever thought it would. That game has legs for days, and they're probably going to keep expanding that game until the people stop playing it. So they'll probably show something there. I don't think Watch Dogs 2 did as well as they thought it was going to, but I think that they may have some sort of DLC to announce for that. The Division, I don't know how that game's still alive, but it is, so they're probably going to show some sort of add-on content for the Division, or maybe even show a full-fledged sequel to the Division, like a tease of it. Hopefully what they show in the tease is what the game actually looks like when it comes out. That would be a solid solid thing for them to do, but we'll see. I think that they'll show some type of add-on that's coming for Ghost Recon as well. One thing that would be fucking sweet is if they made a multiplayer mode for the Division, or for Ghost Recon, sorry, that was basically a battle royale. They have the open world. They have way better shooting mechanics than PlayerUnknown has. It's way less janky and messed up than all of the battle royale games. It's a AAA game with a AAA developer making it. If they could take those mechanics they have in the game and make it some sort of battle royale expansion, like, that would be incredible. They sort of did it with the Division, but it's not quite the same. There's not as many players in the map. But they could do something like that with Ghost Recon. I think that they would be doing well there. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Xbox is going to debut Assassin's Creed. I think obviously Ubisoft's going to go into way more detail with Assassin's Creed in their conference, but the reason why they let it debut on the Xbox is because I think their mic drop end of the conference moment is going to be a new Splinter Cell game. I think that so far the last few years they've ended the show with a new Tom Clancy game. And I think that they'll keep doing that, and I think we'll see a new Splinter Cell. The last one that came out was in 2013, Blacklist, and that game was actually solid. It was a really good game. The only problem with it is that it came out like 2 months before the new consoles came out, and they didn't port it to the new consoles. I think if they would have maybe just upgraded the graphics a bit and made it a launch title, and then had a 360 PS3 version that they sold along with it, kind of like what Call of Duty and Battlefield did, I think that game would have done a lot better. But yeah, I think we'll see a new Splinter Cell at the end of the Ubisoft conference, so I look forward to that as well. And then finally, we have Sony. The thing about Sony is they already kind of showed their hand. They basically showed us all the games that are coming out for that platform for like the next 3 years. So I think what we'll mostly see in the PlayStation conference is gameplay demos of games that already are announced that we only seen teasers for. So Spider-Man, we had a trailer for it last year. I think we'll see an in-depth gameplay demo this year. God of War, we did see gameplay. I think we'll see even more this year. Last of Us was a trailer. Or a teaser. I think we'll see a full trailer, perhaps, like that kind of gives some context to the story and what's happening. I don't think we'll see gameplay, but I could be wrong. I think though that they'll save the gameplay for the PlayStation experience in December. I don't think that game is coming. Well, I know that game's not coming out this year. I think it's coming out late next year. Uncharted Lost Legacy, they'll probably show something for it, probably not too much. That game's coming out in August, I believe, so it's already it's only a month or so away. Crash Bandicoot is the same thing. I think that game comes out a couple weeks after E3. They might show some extra gameplay on it, but that might be it. Days Gone, I think that we'll see some trailers and maybe some more gameplay for that as well. Something that kind of gives more context to the story. The first gameplay demo we've seen last year was a lot of the mechanics and the gameplay. I think that they'll do more of a world building type of campaign mission or trailer or something like that to go with that game. We'll probably see right on schedule a new random ass trailer for Death Stranding that makes no sense and is super Kojima, but we'll see it anyway. I think they'll have Bungie on stage, which will show what is actually going to be exclusive to PlayStation for Destiny 2. And they'll probably have a mic drop moment where they say that there's a PlayStation exclusive beta that's live now. Kind of like they did with the Destiny 1 launch, and that will probably be exclusive for a week or so, and then PC and Xbox will get the beta a week or two after that. I think that that will be pretty much it for Sony, but I do think that they'll have one big mic drop moment at the end where they'll show Sucker Punch's new game, which is probably going to be a new IP. I think that's what they'll end the show on, and I think that game, whatever that is going to be pitted against whatever Xbox's new IP that they announce is, and those are going to be what determines who wins the day for the show. I think ultimately, though, how well Scorpio does in the fall is going to determine who actually won, but in the short term, I think that those two games are going to go head to head. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen in the conferences. One thing that's going to be interesting to watch is the wording that the companies use. I think Microsoft, if they're smart, they're going to say this game is on Scorpio at 4K 60 and this is 4K 60. They're going to say that a lot, I bet. But they have to say native 4K 60 for X game, because Sony, I think, is probably going to say that all of these other games are going to run at 4K on the Pro, but it's not going to be native 4K, it's going to be checkerboarding. And I think if they're just saying, like vaguely saying 4K, it's going to confuse a lot of customers, and they're just going to think that the Scorpio and the Pro are the same. Actually, I think that, sorry, I missed this, they're probably going to announce a Pro price drop. It's probably going to go down to $349 or something like that, or have some kind of bundled in game, something to offset the price, because I think the Scorpio is going to launch at the MSRP for the Pro, so I think they'll kind of try to make that cheaper and then say all their games are 4K, air quotes, even though it's checkerboarded 4K. It's not native, and Microsoft is going to also be 4K, and the average customer is not going to know the difference. So if one's 4K, the other's 4K, one's $50 cheaper, I think that might be Sony's plan. But anyway, those are my thoughts on E3. I'm super psyched for the event. I can't wait for it, and I might actually make a video after the event, see how right I was, see how wrong I was, and just make a recap of all my thoughts from what actually happened and stuff like that. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening. I know this is a long-winded video, but if you managed to stick to the end, love you, really appreciate it, and have a good one.